Welcome to the February 20th meeting of the Board of Cemetery Trustees. Before we start, we lost Dwayne Myrtle on January 22nd, our friend and past president and board member for over 40 years. Our condolences to his family and friends. Thank you. Okay, minutes. Any questions on the January minutes? Comments or corrections? Hearing none, minutes approved as presented. We're going to have to do the elections of officers this month. So the president is first. I'm passing the chair to Virginia Keating.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to, I'm going to nominate Lonnie Feder as president.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now nomination for vice president.
I'll nominate Virginia Keating.
I'll second it. Any other nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nomination for secretary?
I'll nominate Mary Ann Mazzara.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Oh, that was painful.
smooth. Okay, now we have the committee appointments. And the committees are finance, negotiating, rules and regulation, planning, and operation. So far, on the finance committee, we have Virginia Keating and Steve Janis. We need one more on it. Any volunteers? I'll volunteer for that since I'm replaced Dwayne Myrtle and he was on it. So I'll volunteer for the finance. Negotiating committee, that's already full. Paul Foreman, Virginia Keating, and Steve Janis. But we need an alternative for that. So we need an alternative for the negotiating committee.
I'll be an alternate.
Okay,
Need two of them.
you need two of them? We need two of them, okay, thank you. Anyone else want to be an alternate?
Steve, you gonna put your name down?
I'm already on negotiating.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't read it. Okay, then we'll put Paul down.
alternate
We'll
too.
call, okay, Paul.
You have to be.
So when I don't show up,
You got Paul, Virginia, and Steve right now.
Right, we got Paul, Virginia, and Steve right now on the negotiating committee.
So you could just leave it blank for the new one if we get a new.
Right, that's very good. Thank you, Mark. Okay. Rules and regulation. We already have Mary Ann Mazzara and myself on that. We need somebody else for rules and regulation. Anybody like to be on a rules committee?
It's real easy. Then I'll try it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Excuse me, the planning committee. We just have myself on there. We need two more.
Real quick explanation on planning. That's where we're setting up, we're gonna do any new mausoleums, any new openings of graves or anything like that. You're planning the procedures for, to expand.
You can put me on there.
Okay.
I'll be on it.
Okay. Obviously, looking at our budget, there probably won't be any planning this year. And
For quite a while.
last year, operations, and that's full. We got Mary Ann Mazzara and Paul Foreman. So that takes care of the committee appointments. Okay, smooth. Okay. So, we'll go to a financial report from our friends from Horizon Bank.
Thank you. So we'll start at the top of the first page, and since we're only in the first month of this year, 2020, obviously the monthly numbers and year-to-date numbers are going to be the same as far as percentage and performance. So the permanent maintenance Greenwood account, that was up 0.16% for the month and year-to-date. The permanent maintenance Swan Lake account, also up 0.16%. The extension fund, that was up 0.18%. And then down at the bottom, the merchandise and commissions fund, we did have a payment go out from Matthews out of that account, and that was up 0.13%. If you turn to page 3, the asset summaries here. First account is the permanent maintenance Greenwood account. Money market yield, 1.56%, down slightly from prior month, which was 1.61%. The mutual fund overall yield in this account was 2.34, which is up from 2.11 the prior month. And then the overall yield, 2.52, which was up from 2.36 the previous month. Next account is permanent maintenance Swan Lake. The mutual fund overall yield was 2.42, which was up from prior month of 2.18. And then the overall yield in the account, 2.4, which was also up from the prior month of 2.26. The next account is the extension fund. In this account, I wanted to point out there's a decent amount of cash that's built up in that account. I know you do some payments out of this account frequently, but I just wanted to point that out in case that's a little bit excessive for what you need to have on hand as far as cash. It's about 8% of the account right now is in cash. So we could look at some other options if there's some of that money that you want to put to work instead of having it in the money market. In this account, the mutual fund yield was 2.37, and that was up from 1.95 the prior month. And then overall yield, 2.54, up from 2.3. And then the final account here is the merchandise fund account. I know this one, you do have some more frequent payments that come out, but there's a decent amount of cash there percentage-wise as well. This account has a mutual fund yield of 2.38, and that's up from 1.92. And the overall yield in the account is 1.94, which was up from the prior month of 1.74. And then I'll turn it over to Brian to...
What's the approximate cash value right now in the extension fund that's available?
In the extension fund, about 53,000 as
Is that the one where Goldman Sachs is?
Exactly, that's the
Okay.
money market. Yes,
Okay.
that's as of the end of June.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll turn it over to Brian to make some comments about the economy.
Okay, I'll just make a few comments. Interest rates have dropped since we last met. If you look at 2-year Treasury yields, they currently yield 1.38, and a 10-year Treasury yields 1.52. So there isn't very much of a spread on the yield curve when you move out from 2 years to 10 years. And yields have dropped over the last month, primarily because of concerns about the global economic growth and the implications of coronavirus on that growth. It's a fluid situation. Everyone's trying to figure out how much to downgrade the GDP for both the U.S. and China and the globe for the first quarter here, because that's the primary impact is this quarter. But we're just monitoring that situation. China's going to get really a big downgrade in the first quarter. It could be 5 or 6 points. But they expect there to be a catch-up following the coronavirus once people get back to work and back to their regular schedules. But over the course of 2020, people are estimating somewhere between 20 and 30 basis points of an impact on the global GDP growth for the year. So with slower growth, usually you see lower interest rates. And that's what we're seeing right now. And the Federal Reserve is actually monitoring this pretty closely. And if you look at futures markets about what the Fed may do over the course of this year, people are starting to predict the possibility that they're going to lower interest rates again sometime this year to help aid in the recovery of the global growth. So cross your fingers on the coronavirus. It's kind of a scary deal, and So far, it seems like it's contained mostly in Asia, although we've seen a few cases pop up here in some other countries. And other than that, if we were to compare yields on the treasuries versus some of the things that you have in your portfolio right now, like CDs, CDs are still quite low yields as well. A one-year CD will get you anywhere between 1.7 and 1.75. A little over a year ago, we were able to pull that one CD with a 3.55% yield. So it's just amazing how much things can change in one year's time. But for the balance of the year, what we see is a slowing growth outlook and probably persistently low interest rates, unfortunately. So
basically, there's no recommendation from you to put that cash anyplace special, is there?
I would recommend the Vanguard Ginnie Mae fund. It has indicated yield on your report here of 2.6. The 30-day SEC yield, which is a little bit more current, indicates that it'll be a 2.4% yield. And I think that's about as good as you can get in an interest rate world where U.S. Treasuries for 10 years only yield 1.52. There's not much credit risk associated with those mortgage-backed securities from Ginnie Mae. And the government guaranteed, it's a pretty good rate.
Steve, you got any comments on that?
Is there a penalty is there a time that you have to invest it for?
No, it's in mutual funds, so you can exit and get liquidity the same day.
So if we put it all in there and we needed some, it wouldn't hurt us to cash some in.
No, if you called today, we'd have assuming we got the trade in by our cutoff, we'd have the money available the next day.
Okay.
Is there any fees available with withdrawals?
No.
Okay.
I did a calculation. If you were considering that, if you invested, say, $40,000 out of that 53, you would be left with about 2% in cash, which is what we typically keep in accounts, kind of on the side of the money market. So it's kind of a number to consider.
I'd make a motion that we do that.
I second it.
Okay, we got a motion to put $40,000 into that account. Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Into the Vanguard.
Ginnie Mae fund.
Okay.
GNMA.
GNM.
Government National Mortgage Association. People just refer to it as Ginnie Mae.
Gotcha. That's 40,000. Okay. Very good.
If anybody has any questions about the outlook or the economy, I'd be happy to answer them. Other than that, that was the end of my comments.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So on our financial report, any comments on that at all? And then we're not doing too well. Not much cash in the bank.
What did the finance committee decide about
Yeah, we were
Greenwood office?
we were going to get to that.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll get to that. Thanks for bringing that up, Mary Ann. Okay, we were commenting on our financial report. There's nothing much to say about it. Do you have anything you would like to say? Okay. Hearing on the financial report, do I have a motion to approve the financial report?
I'll make that motion to approve the financial report.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. We're gonna push that to last. And I guess we'll go to you with the bills.
Okay, bills are AmeriGas for bottled gas, $1,396.69. Board of Cemetery Trustees petty cash for $13.10. Brandt's Feed Emporium, Swan Food, $94.60. Cable and Ace Hardware, repair parts assorted, $67.70. NIPSCO, $1,065.88. Water, $11.59. Sewage, $23.83. Republic, dumpster for our trash pickup at Swan Lake, $62.78. And that was a lot more than that, but they had made a couple pickups that we did not call for, so they gave us a credit of almost $300, almost $300, so we talked them down a little bit. Matthews Bronze, $2,148.34. Permanent maintenance receipts, Greenwood, $450, Swan Lake, $1,134.50 for a total of $1,584.50. Extension fund receipts, $2,776.25. Merchandise receipts, $2,630 for a total of $6,990.75. And those are the reading of the bills, Mr. President.
Thank you. Are there any questions about the bills from the board?
Nope.
Hearing none, do I have a motion to pay the bills?
I'll move that we pay the bills.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. Got a motion to pay the bills in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carried. Okay, next is our superintendent report. Mr. Townshend.
I was asked by the then vice president to do kind of a, I don't want to use the term eulogy, but a synopsis of Mr. Merle's existence while he was on the board. I've known Dwayne since the mid-70s, personally, because him and he coached women's softball for Horizon Bank, and I coached the women's softball team at Arnold Tate when I worked there. I've known Dwayne a long time. He's been on the board as of this past January for 40 years. He started as an advisor to the financial budget of the board, as not a board member, but just as an advisor, October 1978. Because at the time, the gentleman Robert Garrettson was getting ready to retire at the end of the year of 1978. Dwayne was appointed to the board as a full-time member January of 1979. That was the same year that the board took ownership of Swan Lake Memorial Gardens. In 1983, he was elected vice president of the board, and in 1990, he was elected president of the board. Some of the projects, and he was the longest serving board member. Prior to him was a gentleman named N.S., I'm going to mess his name up, Scharnberg, and he had served 39 years on the board, and he had started, that gentleman there started on the board in 1922. Doesn't matter, Dwayne, of course. Some of the projects that were done while Dwayne was on the board, we got a mausoleum here at Greenwood. 1984, we put the new mausoleum up. Since that time, we've also added new glass niches in both the west and east side at the inside of the building. With the help of a former member, Lou Hapke, we have a veterans area at Swan Lake, in the very entrance to Swan Lake. He was part of the deal that got the new mausoleum at Swan Lake, the new one, the Serenity Mausoleum in the upright section at Swan Lake. During his tenure, and actually since I've been superintendent, we've remodeled and updated both offices. You have to understand, at one time our carpeting out here was orange. This was a hideous looking office. Anyways, both offices were remodeled and updated, and all that, what you see now is how it is. In 1992, we added niche banks on the old mausoleum at Swan Lake, which correlated into about 168 niches, and we only have a couple of those left. All the roads were paved at Greenwood and Swan Lake. All new blacktop was put down. That would have been, about 16 years ago. I can't read my own writing here. Both garages, the Greenwood garage, we added a whole new building. We added 3 bays to the Greenwood garage. We added 2 bays, new bays to the Swan Lake garage, and the garage that was out there, we took out, they call it skinning it. We skinned it, put on new metal siding on the building. Got a new entrance sign at Swan Lake. He was here when we did all the drainage at 3 gardens at Swan Lake and around the sections. There was a lot more, but I didn't want to get into every little thing, but Mr. Merle did a lot for the cemetery board in the 40 years that he was on the board. I consider him a friend and a mentor. I personally will miss him. And that's pretty much the synopsis or eulogy on Dwayne.
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Okay.
Do I have to get my report then?
Yes, sir.
Oh, not much to do. There's absolutely not much going on right now. Funerals are, again, slow. I'm going to give this out because this way it'll help everybody in the community. It's a little early, but I'm going to do it anyways. Our spring cleanup will begin Monday, March 16th, and it will last 2 weeks. And you can redecorate on Monday, March 30th. All decorations will be removed and discarded. Everything will be removed off the graves and headstones, niches, and crypts. It will be at both cemeteries. Both cemeteries, everything will be cleaned up and discarded. Any questions, they can call either office to find out times and dates. There will be another reminder at next month's board meeting because it's going to be 2 days after that. I sent a letter out. We're bringing back the full-time employee who had been laid off for the summer months, for the winter months, and he will start back on March 2nd. With everything being slow, we have been, and at one meeting I went to in the early part of January, meeting with the mayor, along with other department heads, he had brought up that we are not having, as we have in the past, a wish list. So our wish list this year, we were going to try and shoot for 2 new mowers and another Kubota little 4x4 thing that we use out here. Not going to happen. No money. So what we're doing is we're taking our mowers and we're servicing them the best we can. We're going to have to take maybe at least one, turn it in to the company over Valpo for them to go over it because there's a gearbox that we can't do. It's got to be pressed in, and we can't do it, so it's going to have to go to the outdoor place. But they've been changing the blades, getting filters changed, getting the plugs changed, getting all of them cleaned up. So when day 1 starts of cutting grass, they'll all be ready, and they'll be ready to go and work for the season. They've also been working on some of other smaller equipment, the string trimmers, chainsaws, just getting equipment cleaned up and ready because we're just right around the corner, believe it or not, for our summer and spring deal. The vases were ordered. They came in last week. We've ordered some plugs, the bronze plugs. We've also ordered a sample of the plastic plug to give people an option. And a sample came in, it looked pretty bad, so I called our sales rep, and he's going to send us a new one so we can show people if they don't want the vase anymore. Because some of the vases from years and years ago, they haven't been used. But we're going to have to do something with the hole. We don't want anybody tipping their toe in it and falling down. I talked to the operations chief about the situation over on Dixon Street. He was going to look into it. I went down to the city hall, and the city attorney was on vacation and gone for a while. So I talked to the police chief, and he's going to look into it. If I don't get a good answer, we will then go into the next step, which would be talking to the city attorney. I haven't talked. I've listened to her message. I'm sure she's listened to mine. I've been playing, as they say, phone tag with the tree lady, Dr. Arnett. So we're waiting on that, and also I've talked to some other cemeteries about that late afternoon coming into the cemetery late, and right now I haven't got anything cement to report on that yet. We're still working up some ideas. Some of them, it doesn't matter. Some have some ideas for right now, but hopefully by next month I will have something to present to the board as far as late funeral arrivals and or leaving. And that's pretty much, other than just keeping up the weather, and that's about it, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, I think we should, what Mary Ann brought up a little while ago, is the Finance Committee met on Friday, January 24th, to discuss options. And at that meeting, Virginia Keating was there, Steve Janis was there, and myself, and Mark Tomchek, superintendent, to discuss what we could do financially.
Well, we discussed the possibility of closing this office. From what our understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, there's very few people who come here.
It's very few, very
Okay.
few.
We have a part-time employee. By closing this office, we would need that employee. That's over $17,000 in savings. That's something we could consider. The way we could handle it is we could have a sign in the window, appointments only, and give them a phone number. As far as phone go, we can forward calls from here if we have to Swan Lake. But that was what we discussed, and I don't know if you want to take action on it or think about it and discuss it at the next meeting, but basically $17,000 or more is what we could save.
The sooner we do it, the sooner we start saving. So.
That's right, and over time, realize in 10 years, that's $170,000. I mean, you're talking about a lot of money. 17 doesn't sound a lot, but when over time, it's
The
quite
only,
a lot.
and I agree, and the only thing would be the setting up of funerals. We're gonna have to move either our card system to Swan Lake or something, so if they call for a funeral, that we have it set up out there, or whoever's in charge, superintendent, the assistant superintendent, office manager at Swan Lake could call up here or fax up here or something and give it to me or the next person, and then I could write it up and do it that route. Because the office here, it's a convenience. I've sat in the office many times by myself, and you ask Roxanne, I'll turn on the YouTube music and I'll sit in my office and do my work, listen to music, and I won't have a phone call or anybody come in for the day. And there's other things that I've done. I was here a few weeks ago. We had a gentleman who passed away in a funeral home called me, and they wanted me to go out and check if the family had a marker on their graves. So I just put a sign in the door and went out. Nothing. Nobody ever was waiting for me or calling me back. Or so it is. Not saying it's not totally needed, but a lot of cemeteries now have gone down to either fewer and fewer hours, or, as Virginia said, appointments only type thing.
I'd say effective 1st of March. I make that a motion.
Second.
Any more discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Before you do all that, could it be, because that's only a week away, because we're going to have to send out letters to all the funeral directors.
Okay, make it April 1st.
Could make
Wanna
one
go
month.
30 days?
Yeah,
1st of April?
yeah, I would think that would be much.
Okay, I'll
much better.
amend my motion.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we got an amended motion to close Greenwood Cemetery office. Was it April?
April 1st.
April 1st? Do I have a
Okay,
second?
second.
Okay. Got a motion to close Greenwood Cemetery April 1st. We got a motion to close. We got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay.
Is the phone system out, so we need to-
Yeah, there's something's got to be done with the phone system. It's not like we still don't have phones out there that are worth a darn. My other question would be, on your motion here of closing the office, is that a 100% set in stone that if something were to happen, could this office be opened up at the board's request at a later date?
What do you mean? Do you mean for a day or a week or?
No, I mean, if it turns out that it...
Yeah,
Yeah,
certainly,
okay.
certainly.
If we got busy again and all
Sure,
that.
it's
You
not,
got the coronavirus going, you may get busy.
we're not tearing down the building, so it'll still be here.
Okay. So we want to we'll send letters out to all the funeral directors stating that any calls should be directed towards Swan Lake for Greenwood. And we'll get something made for the front door stating that by appointment, put a number on it.
Yep.
You
So
have
how it
a
flies.
recording on this phone in case somebody calls this phone, directing them to Swan Lake. Or you can forward calls from here too, you know, to Swan Lake.
Gotta have a good phone system out there, so that we do not have. I'm
We're
using my
gonna
private
provide you
cell
with
phone.
great big tin cans.
Spring.
Okay, those are fine.
Okay, that covered all the old business. Any new business?
My question is, are we going to memorialize Dwayne Myrtle in any way? A plaque, naming something, is that something that we ought to consider? I mean, after all, he was president for 30 years, it's...
Why don't we think about that for a month and maybe come up with some ideas for the next meeting? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
He was and just throwing this out there, you know, he was a Vietnam veteran. We could put something on the veterans, possibly if there was any, you know, possibly at Swan Lake on the Veterans Memorial. You know, something to that effect. I mean, I don't think we should name a conference room after him or anything like that.
We don't really have a conference.
Or a road or anything like that?
No.
So, yeah, so,
Cemetery.
yeah.
I've been thinking about that, something maybe around the Veterans Memorial, because him and Mr. Hefty were very instrumental in that.
That's a good idea.
Even if we have to put a plaque to the side.
Right.
Yeah, I
So,
think that would be appropriate.
Okay, is there anything else we need to discuss?
Based on the fact that we had the finance committee meeting and we discussed various options, I think we should call an executive session and invite the mayor and let him know what our plans for the future are going to be.
You can't have an executive session for that reason. You can have a special meeting and invite him, but it would be a public meeting. But that does not fall under the categories that are permissible for an executive session. So.
Oh, I stand corrected.
I'm just trying to keep us out of trouble.
I know, I understand. So we, at his convenience, we could have a meeting.
Or he could meet with the finance committee too. If you
Sure.
have a full board meeting that, you know.
I thought I heard mention he was going to be here today, and we could have discussed that with him today, but yes.
Maybe he goes to Swan Lake.
In all reality, no joking aside, we talked at the finance thing, something's gonna have to be done. Whether they go back like they did back in 1989 when I took over, and the city paid for health insurance and all the three insurances, something's gonna have to be done. Because we will not, we'll lose more money this year, again.
Well, that's just it. You need solution that's a final solution. I mean, you know, $10 here and $20 there, yeah, that's wonderful, but it doesn't keep up with all
Right.
of those losses.
And
It's gotta be a major,
That's right.
And somebody said, well, maybe you should raise prices. Well, you can't raise prices enough to make up the difference. And then I found out, we used to get a debit memo from City Hall. We don't get it anymore on workman's comp, not workman's comp, unemployment. So our money that was at the end of last month's budget, you can probably add another $4 or $6 grand on that loss. Because we don't get it on unemployment insurance. So I wasn't even aware of it.
no.
Things have changed drastically. Because the savings of closing Greenwood down, that 17,000, 10 years, 170, that's fine.
That's mine.
Yeah.
That's mine.
It doesn't help when you're $100,000.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
we can
right.
try it out.
Yeah.
I know there was Crystal Springs Cemetery in Ben Harbor, Michigan. Their cemetery is closed, and it's only by appointment only. And it's an over 80-acre cemetery. St. Stan's is never open. They don't have an office or time on the grounds that they're cemetery. And a lot of cemeteries don't anymore. But we'll work and see what happens and go from there.
But I think our discussion should be with the mayor and let him know before the public.
But we need to also show that we're trying in that, you know, by closing this office,
Yeah,
that,
right.
you know, we're doing something.
And then Lonnie can go in front of the council.
Beg for money?
You can talk to Paul and Don and all the
They
rest of the
wouldn't
council
talk
members.
very long.
Would it be worth it to try to set a finance committee meeting up and invite the mayor? But if he's not available, it kind of be a waste of time.
Right.
Yeah.
It'd be to his convenience that we would meet.
Right, exactly. So we could make ourselves available if he was available, you know.
Yeah. Why don't you, Mr. President, send a invitation to him
Sure.
and ask him, you know, for times and dates when he would be available for
Sounds
us.
good, yeah.
We can meet either there at City Hall, or he can come here,
Okay,
whichever.
sure. Sounds good. I can do that. Anything else?
I have
I just need one extra copy for the if you ever get a new employee or a new board member.
Okay. Hearing nothing, meeting is adjourned then. Okay.